Kiss has always been very well known for bringing out the stars of tomorrow as their support acts. The list is long and illustrious and includes iconic acts such as Rush, Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, Motley Crue, Bon Jovi, Scorpions, Ted Nugent, Sammy Hagar, Uriah Heep, Anthrax, Rammstein, Alice in Chains, and many, many more. But none of them have been referenced as much as acdc when they toured as support for Kiss on the Alive 2 tour in the US in December of 1977. The legend loomed large, but in fact the Aussie powerhouse only performed with Kiss at these 4 shows. Originally the plan was for acdc to perform at about a dozen shows, as Bon Scott here explained to Australian TV in November of 1977.
Right, now tell us about your American plans.
Yeah, we're going back there in a couple of weeks to tour with Kiss, supporting Kiss, and a band called Rush. You mightn't have heard of out there.
No.
You know? And we're doing about 12 dates with those bands, and a few of our own, and some co-headlining with a band called UFO.
Right, we've heard of that.
You know UFO?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Now, just on the Kiss tour, right? Have you seen Kiss perform yet, live?
Yeah, I saw them in London last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
quite spectacular.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's going to be an amazing contrast between yourselves and obviously Kiss. Both very visual.
Well, yeah. See, the guy that what's his name? Tell me the bass player's name from Kiss.
I don't know.
No? Coral, tell me the bass player's name from Kiss. He's a popular guy, isn't he?
Coral?
He came along to our show or one of our shows in the Whiskey in Hollywood to see us play, you know, and he come up to us and said, "Look, I dig your band, and we're touring in December, and we'd like you to tour with us." You know, and they played to 80,000 people.
Yeah, right. I mean, they're huge.
So the show should be quite amazing.
So how did acdc end up on the radar for Kiss in the first place? Gene Simmons explains in an interview.
We've had some incredible bands opening for Kiss.
We took acdc out on their first tour in America. Bon Jovi, Motley Crue, Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, Rush. You know, it goes on and on and on. Sadly, we never took Angry Anderson and the boys out, but that's our fault.
But acdc would have been a real eye-opener for you guys as well, because they were just raw, you know, straight out of the pubs, and you had Bon Scott up front.
It was great. It was. Yeah. I saw them playing in a really small club in L.A. I happened to be there, and all I remember is being close to the stage, because I love that. You know, I want to feel it. I want to feel the chest kind of cave in when the bass and the kick drum hits it. That's. I don't want to be at a safe distance. You know, if it's too loud, you're too old. So I'm in the front, and even after the blackouts between songs, there's Angus just running around on stage, not posing, just kind of feeling it like somebody in a trance or something. I said, that guy is rock and roll. That guy's real. So after the show, I went backstage and Gene Simmons. I'm doing a bad Aussie accent. Oh, Gene Simmons, yeah, all right, yeah. I go, who's the guy? You're the guy. What's your name? Angus. And then he smiled. And I'll never forget it. He didn't have front teeth. And I guess at that point they couldn't afford it. So I said, let me take you a few blocks away. I want to sit down and talk with you. So he did. And I'll never forget it. We went to a place called Mel's Diner, which is, you know, in some parts of the world famous.
It is famous, yeah.
And there we are at 1 a.m. in the morning. You know, to some people, I'm kind of a big deal. So all the waitresses and everybody gathered around the table. And at that point, they had yet to know who Angus and the boys were, but it was just Angus and myself. What was Mike, Mr. Simmons? You know, all that kind of stuff. I said, ask my friend first. I'll never forget it. Angus asked for a Frankfurter instead of a hot dog and beans. And they looked at each other and I said, get the man what he wants. So they did. They brought it back. And I'll never forget, Angus picked up the hot dog, you know, without the bun, and started biting into it on the side of his mouth because the two front teeth were missing. And I said to him, I sort of remember that most of the conversation, you guys are great. I'm going to make some calls. You're going out on tour with us.
And the rest is history, as they say.
Despite only ending up with 4 gigs together, the stint left both parties with big impressions.
Gene Simmons was very good to us when we came to America. He had gotten us a lot of shows with Kiss. Today I am still grateful that he had done this. I remember when he came and saw us on stage the first time we played in Los Angeles at the Whiskey. He went to the backstage, approached us and said, "Hey, I've been glued to the wall with your music."
Gene and Paul, this is for you. You've given a lot of bands breaks opening for Kiss. Can you name some of the best sets you've seen from openers? And can you also share who you plan to have open for Kiss on the End of the Road World Tour?
Wow. Great question. Gene, you want to...
Best set, acdc on their first tour. A band that didn't pay attention. Shares the same philosophy. No matter what any other band is doing, to thine own self be true. I've said it before, but it's more truer now than ever. A lot of people look the same and act the same and do the same thing. Rap, country, there's a lot of sameness going on. Every once in a while you see a band like acdc, nobody's like them. We'd like to think we're unique in that way too. Unique to have your own fingerprint, because Mother Nature knows best. There's no other fingerprint on earth like us, and bands should march to the beat of their own drummer. See what I did there?
I thought Rush...